Welcome back to the HGC Western Clash, where we are going into game number 3 between Misfits and Nomia. Nomia from Australia, New Zealand, a team where we didn't really have the highest of expectations, a region that historically has never had amazing results at Globals, really showing up here.
I'm feeling so conflicted right now, Jake, because here we have a team that we thought is not worthy of standing in the same spotlight with Misfits. Now, I know that's a big thing to say. They are here, they're an international participant, they've qualified here, they've dominated their region, and there's respect for that, definitely. We just didn't think that the level in their region is big enough to contend with Misfits. Now, Misfits, they have narrowly squeezed out a number 2 game win against Nomia to equalize it. Normally, I would say that's not that impressive, but maybe we have to shift our expectations here. Maybe the confusion that we have here and altering our expectations is actually that was impressive that they, in the end, beat Nomia, because Nomia is playing an excellent game. In fact, I think even in game 2, Nomia played better than Misfits.
Yeah, I would agree completely.
Yeah.
There was almost not a single team fight where, like, Misfits won almost every map objective, but when it came to every team fight, Nomia was the one who took it. They just won. They missed their gust onto on the boss itself. They didn't get value out of expulsion zone and took a fight down 20 talent tier. Nomia still won the fight.
Yeah,
and
Nomia
got the boss.
I think
like,
Nomia was
how?
even playing better around the boss too, because they actually wasted 2 major heroics that you and I were like, why would they use those so early? And yet Misfits didn't even get the major punish that you would normally expect from them here. So it feels like Misfits is kind of missing their mark as a team. And right now, as any given Sunday, as you will, Nomia is just showing up and being the team that's just impressing.
Yeah, one thing I want to point out when it comes to that boss too is like Robodoba had a 1v3 zone like the entire time.
Yeah.
He did exactly what he needed to do to benefit his team. What is considered not only just looking at the team names, talent tier wise, just an insane fight to even risk taking.
Well, Nomia are here to decide their map as they were the losers in game number 2. So where do you guys think they'll go for the map selection?
I want to see them focus on a team fight. I want them to choose the map itself, and then I want to focus on a team fight. Avoid any macro, because Misfits has to be scared after that last game. The first one put them on shaking in their boots. That last one, I'm terrified if I'm Misfits right now.
So you probably don't want to go to Dragonshire. Oh, they do actually go to Dragonshire.
Wow.
So you don't have too many 5v5s on this battleground.
That's Misfits actually picking. So
Yes.
Nomia has elected here to get first pick.
Yes.
So they are looking to
okay.
pick up a particular hero here. Zarya, I think, was great, but they may want that Zeratul opportunity to pop up again. So they're looking for that first pick.
Oh, that makes a little sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Dragonshire, first time of the day, of course, being our first series. This is a map where rotations are a big deal, and being able to get your comfort picks for that. But I honestly think we have a lot of potential for Nomia to even be able to take it here.
To be honest, last game felt a little Dragonshire to me in the draft. You have this Dragonshire. You have this Zarya draft by Nomia where they're 3-man pushing the bottom towers. That is carbon copy of Dragonshire strategies. One global and like a Dahaka or a Falstad, this strong 3 to 4-man rotation. So I think Nomia can definitely contend with Misfits on this battleground.
Oh, here we are in the draft phase. My bans, I'm expecting a Ragnaros ban and then a Zeratul ban. One, Nomia to ban the Ragnaros out just because you don't want to have that strong top laner up top. And then actually, Nomia, rather than getting the Zarya, I would like to see them pick up Dahaka. Fat94 has a pretty strong Dahaka play, and he's just god tier on this map, in my opinion.
One thing I do want to note when looking at the map of Dragonshire, yes, it is going to be one that we know, Misfits is relatively successful on overall. The biggest thing is, even though it is a rotation map, it's an individual. It's not a 4-1 typically. It's not always committed to end those heavy rotations like we see on Tomb. It's more of those 2-2s, the 3-2 kind of splits, and that is something that, honestly, after looking at these first 2 games, I give to Nomia. Those micro transaction skirmishes, they are the ones winning a lot of the time. And so I guess when looking at Dragonshire and that macro advantage Misfits might have, I can't help but feel like this is not the map I would go to.
And looking at the ban phase, Tacit are taken out, now Misfits. This leaves up all of these strong heroes. So that was a good counterplay by Misfits, but now Nomia gets their Zeratul, but Misfits gets to have their choice here between Ragnaros and Dahaka.
It's so, it's still weird. I feel like Nomia won the last game. I know they didn't. They threw it away at the core, but just they've shown that they don't need Zeratul to be triumphant in most of the team fights. It seems like after game 1, which was a massive awakening for Misfits. Hey, guys, we can lose to this ANZ Australia team. They decided, let's take away Zeratul, let's take away Malfurion in that second game. And here they can only take away one of those. They remove Malfurion, and Zeratul has been granted.
Double Global is going to be locked in there. Falstead and the Dahaka. So a lot of control when it comes to the shrines itself. Post 20, you pretty much don't dance on Dragon Shire here with Misfits draft so far. That being said, Nomia here, as long as they move into, they have the Zeratul, the comfort there for Fat 94, the impact that he's going to have. They need to make sure they have the follow-up. They need to be successful pre-20 because, again, these two heroes with their globals post 20 on Dragon Shire means they control almost 100%, at minimum one shrine, usually two.
So when you're Nomia and you know you're up against a team that's going to have more options with those snap rotations of the global, how do you approach this in this situation? Ragnaros, Varian, just stay as a 4-1 and play safe?
They have setup now. They are set up very well here. They have their Varian into engage, taunt until Sulfurous Smash, but they also have Void Prison set up too to hit multiple members and bring that Sulfurous Smash down. Now, this is a combo when we talk with them that they don't get to practice very often back home in their home region, but they're excited here to play it against some of the elite teams, and they're pulling it out in game number 3.
Void Prison into an effective Sulfurous Smash can be devastating. Their combos were super on point in game number 1, but a little bit easier to hit as you simply flip Twilight Dream as Void Prism is coming up, and there's a small delay in Sulfurous Smash. Jaina now going to get possibly removed by Misfits. Pairs up extremely well with Zeratul with that Ring of Frost. That's a smart ban, I think. Misfits is trying to close as much of the vulnerabilities that they have going up against the Zeratul team. I'm still wondering how they're going to finish up their draft later to deal with Zeratul. Are they going to the high health pool heroes or maybe the never fight kind of team?
I don't know if they can risk the never fight into the Zeratul, to be honest. On Dragon Shire specifically, just the flanking rotations he's going to be able to have. They might be able to, but again, like with those globals, typically you can go like, what if we never take that fight? But you have 5 seconds to buy time to force an initiation. So it's not that they can't, right, Grubby? It's more that I just feel like it's an insane risk. That being said, at this point, Nomia's draft, what they have is relatively risky. They have committed, Rag is going to be able to match into the top lane, but with that variant in the 4, I'm looking, where's the kill potential come from? They have to have somebody else to follow up. Zeratul obviously is going to have a huge impact, but they need somebody else for the variant. So is that, now that Jaina's gone, is it going to be a Li Ming? Is that going to be, a couple of other heroes? I have one really rare suggestion that I would like to see for Nomia, and that's going to be actually Azul on the back half of the draft. Just to complement the wave clear and allow Zeratul to free roam to top and get the value.
I don't think they can do Zul. They have 3 melee already. Then again, I've been wrong many times so far, especially in Nomia's chances.
You pick Zul and then you lock in Lucio.
5 melee.
You risk it and you just dive in. No. It's something I can see them moving into, and it is an insanely, obviously, innovative and new strategy, but it's one I would be willing to see them. I think Nomia could win that, I guess, because Misfit has no idea how to take that on. They have to be uncomfortable, and they're already uncomfortable, so their play would probably even weaken that much more.
I wonder if Misfits goes for like Leoric here and tries to control the map entirely with their globals, and then maybe like a late game powerhouse in Lunara or something like that. Or are they just going to go straight up blow for blow and just counter the kind of damage and setup that Zeratul can do? Will they bring out a Tyrael, for instance?
That's what I'm expecting. The Tyrael and potentially a damage here. If they're catching on that Nomia doesn't run Rhaegar, they can hold that to the 5th pick. It's one of their favorite pickups to pick after Malfurion. So they grab Muradin, and they actually take Karazim here.
They're trying to force him. They're trying to force Nomia, Vanilla, to feel uncomfortable there. He was on a comfort hero. Granted, the palms weren't looking too impressive into the last game. But now they're going to push his, his hero pool that much deeper.
In their qualifier, the only other support I saw him play was Ariel.
Yeah.
He played Malf, and then if he didn't get Malf, he went to Karazim almost every single game. And they don't have a composition that really harmonizes with Ariel here.
Ariel's not good here at all. You Crystal Aegis, one of your allies, Falstad Gust comes out. I don't think they can afford to do that.
Yeah, the only way I could see that working is if they go Gul'dan, but that's so awkward, especially here on Dragon Shire.
You don't want that here.
I think we need Rhaegar to come out. We've seen him dabble in Morales in the past.
Oh.
Yeah?
He's so underestimated. He is insane. The impact that he can have with these melees, the kill potential onto the variant, it is ridiculous. They're going to stick to the comfort.
There it is, Ariel Gul'dan. Okay, that's scary.
That is risky.
They do have at least solid wave clear, right? Compared to what Misfits has. What do they have? They have Dahaka, and then they have False that can rotate around. Maybe something a little bit more better here for Misfits to kind of hold on. Do you see maybe Azul for them here? They've played it in the past. Misfits has.
I think they need more damage. I think what Misfits is looking for maybe should be a mage, Li Ming,
Vala.
What about Azebo?
Oh, man. I would avoid the Naz just because it's too late game. It's going to try and match into Ariel Gul'dan.
It is going to be Nazebo.
There it is. All right, well.
He's a fairly high health pool damage dealer that can deal with Zeratul a bit. It's probably going to be an ice block Nazebo just in case he gets isolated by Zeratul. He puts out good damage. It's very spread. Ariel can have difficulty dealing with this. I'm just really concerned about the pacing here of the team fight, where you Crystal Aegis and then Mighty Gust can come out. But there's plenty of threats on the side here for Nomia. They can Void Prison into a Horrify. It can be devastating if paired up well.
Now,
you can even be funky and use Crystal Aegis as a Void Prison follow-up damage dealer. It's a bit weird, but you can do it.
if we look at Varian as a solo warrior, I believe in both North America and Europe, his win rate as solo warrior is pretty bad, if I'm not mistaken.
I do think he is struggling overall. He can't necessarily survive, I guess, enough in most situations. That being said, I don't know if we see the draft to be able to punish him effectively here.
Yeah.
Not very well, at least not in the early game. That's why when we were suggesting, what are you going to end up moving into? Is it going to be like the Naz? And it's just like, I would have been far more worried about matching the early game and the kill potential, or at least survivability there, not scaling into the late game to try and go blow for blow with a Gul'dan, who obviously is going to do well into the late game.
Yeah, that's definitely a threat there. How does Misfits get to level 20? Can they do it well enough here on Dragon Shire? And granted, Dragon Shire does extend itself to later game scenarios most of the time.
Yeah.
But the kill potential for Nomia is so good. You have your hard engage with Varian, you have your setup for Zeratul, and then you have the amazing Sulfura Smash that can kill off. And there's no way to really handle that comes your way. You can do a Divine Palm, but Splendor has to be a god at that point.
Actually, what do we think of the laning here for Misfits against Nomia? You're going up against Ariel, Gul'dan, Varian, Zeratul. Zeratul can go wherever he wants. You have to stop that with Karzim, Muradin, and Nazeebo. The laning actually looks really tough.
I mean, you get lanes pushed into you, so you get more stacks for Nazeebo. So there's the positive. You get to farm for a while, but you're probably going to lose a couple forts. If they can get to the mid game well and not lose a keep by what? I would say 13 minutes, they're in a fine spot.
All right, well, we're going to find out how the lanes go. Let's go to game number 3, Kaldor and Tetcher.
Guys, on the desk, it is game number 3 between Nomia and the wonderful Misfits. But, ladies and gentlemen, Kaldor is going to introduce you to the team on the left.
To the left, we have now Hazobs for the Misfits on Falstad this time, trying to test the opponent's hero pool a little bit. Nurok on a little bit of Nazeebo action here on Dragonshire. Blumby playing the Muradin this time at the front line. We have Darkmark on Dehaka trying to be that global menace once again, with the Karazim being picked up by Splendor.
Whereas on the right-hand side, looking to cause the upset, it is going to be Robodoba playing the Varian. We saw some good effects so far. Arkana was on the Gul'dan there. Fat94 on the Zeratul. Vanilla on the Ariel. And finally, no, sorry, it is John on Gul'dan. And it is going to be Arkana playing the Ragnaros. And this is Nomia.
In this case, we actually see already Karazim going straight for the Iron Fist as the level 1 talent, just pointing that out as we're going into a bit of a brawl here in the mid lane. Now keep in mind that, of course, this is the 3rd map in this best of 3 series between the two teams. Misfits, they struggled a lot more than they expected going into the series, and the Australia-New Zealand team did do very, very well. So we have a series, ladies and gentlemen.
We also have an incredible amount of poke potential. The only way they could have more on the side of Nomia is if they went for Meteor build on Rag. But we have the Fell, the Pursuit of Flame, level 1 for Gul'dan. We have the Lion's Maw coming in for Varian. Ragnaros, though, did go for Sulfurous Hungers.
Yeah, and at this point, we've been talking about statistics a little bit earlier, and by now we have the Haka actually on a 7-0 win stat on the side of the Misfits. They're incredibly successful with that hero, and it's one of the reasons actually why they also picked Dragonshire. It's just one of these maps where rotations matter more than on any other map in the game.
Yeah, look how far back Darkmark is playing. Even though he knew Arkana was in that objective space, he didn't know where Zeratul was. So he just hangs back, lets the minions push up. A couple of them maybe will die to tower if he's lucky. So that could deny some XP. Hasu takes half his health worth of damage, turns around, gets a couple zaps, then takes another teleport back in from Fat, who is just so aggressive and good at harassing.
That was actually a problem here by Hazobs. He went into the lane a little bit too deep, and if not for that Singularity Spike missing, he would have died. Like, it's the only reason why he's still alive. Fat came in and he had the potential to kill, but Hazard was able to dodge it, but he realized that he was too far out on the bot lane on the other hand. That's a different story.
Vanilla's super out of position. She's guaranteed to die, as does John. And this is the kind of... we actually saw Vanilla swim for a very long time there, but this is the kind of Nomia that we expected, the kind of Misfits that we expected to see, the kind of rotations and punishment for positioning that we have seen in the main HGC.
At this point, Misfits even staggering the depth of Oriel a little bit. I mean, this early in the game, it doesn't matter too much, but later on, this is actually a huge deal. If you can just delay a 100% kill for a few more seconds, that helps you a lot to just stay in control of the map in general. But for now, they have to take the shrines back that were taken by Nomia in the meantime. But it's an early level 4 talent for them. Both the teams now in this level, same talent. But we have a lead with nearly a level for the Misfits by now.
We have a big voodoo on the side of Nazeebo playing for the late game, and their comp does kind of give them that. They have the Dahaka to split push and clear lanes. They have Falset who can do similar, and Muradin is just one of the ultimate delayers in the game. If they can just run this to the late game, it could work out in their favor, but that's going to allow all of these lovely stacking talents on the side of Nomia to get super strong.
Yeah, talking stacking talents, we have also Hazobs going straight into Season Marksman. Now we can expect them once again to go into the Giant Killer here. There's a lot of good targets at that front line that we see for Nomia. And I also want to point out that we have on level 4 Static Shield taken, which is of course incredibly strong against Zeratul in particular when he moves in, just trying to keep that Falset alive for a little bit longer.
Yeah, and it's completely different to what we have seen Arcana go for both the times that he played Falset in the previous games, where he took the hammer gains, and so he was happy clearing lanes and getting his health back. But when you're against a burst hero, for example, like you said, like the Zeratul, then that extra little burst of shielding can be the difference between life and death.
And Misfits is actually very well aware of the threat that Zeratul poses in the early game, and they are playing a very nice and disciplined game here so far, not allowing him to get any of these setups. Now, both of the shrines under the control of the German-Bulgarian team, and they are trying to sneak a Dragon Knight in, but of course, in the meantime, the bot lane has just recaptured the objective for Nomia.
Yep, Gul'dan able to take that. Arcana going very aggressive onto Darkblock. Meteor was dropped, but Fat had to retreat. So there's going to be no kills here unless Hasu can make the plays. He barrel rolls over the wall, gets the slow. Darkblock won't have drag for another couple of seconds, and the range with the extra speed is good. Arcana will escape.
A lot of free damage here against Ragnaros on the other hand, but he still had the cooldown on the well up, so he can rejoin the fight in just a few seconds. But both of the teams are really starting to angle for a potential first Dragon Knight. There's no real forcing moves just yet, but both of them are still trying to pick up that kill. And there we have it once again. This time Varian is eliminated as we see Misfits collapse onto the mid lane.
Yeah, able to take so much control this time, and they have immediately rotated Karazim down to bot lane just to make sure that Nazeebo isn't going to have trouble. Rag, though, making the good call, taking that top shrine back while Zeratul was hanging around the area. But look at this rotation from Misfits from the mid lane.
Yeah, they're moving in again. Zeratul is there, but Ragnaros still cannot escape. Fed with absolutely no options to save his ally there. So another kill for the Misfits, and they are 4-0 now in this third game.
Yeah, and this is the dominant performance we had expected, and they are showing up now. They have both shrines. Mid lane is available. Varian is here. He can delay a little bit. He actually dashes to a minion to try to save himself. Lion's Fang, nice move by Zeratul to sneak that top shrine back.
The scary part is really that level 10 that we will see for Misfits in just a few moments. Once they have that, Nomia has to make some really tough decisions here. If they still try to deny the Dragon Knight, they might lose heroes at this point, and they can't really afford to do that any longer. They let the Dragon Knight go, so we have Misfits moving through that mid lane right now, looking to take down a few structures.
Yeah, and they're going to be able to grab a minimum 1 tower, looking for 2. But a counter-attack onto Darkblock Drag, dodged by Fat, but instead the damage turns immediately onto Arcana. He tries to blast wave to freedom. The slow is good, gets a little bit of regen. He will escape, but once again dropped very low.
Good escape here, though. He was able to just move back, but in the mid lane, the fight is still continuing. The Dragon Knight is still alive. The bot lane also under a lot of pressure, so 2 lanes losing the towers and the gate.
Yeah, with the Gargantuan holding back the keep shots, we saw Nazeebo able to do some crazy damage. He's also going to chuck out some Toads here to get some harassment. Yeah. But like we said, with the Gargantuan, level 10 was available for Misfits during the majority of that push, which is how they were able to get so much value. But now it is available for Nomia.
Gary back to business. Gary the Gargantuan getting some value at that bot lane, as you pointed out. But still, Nomia had a great showing in on game number 1, no questions asked. Map number 2, our experts also talked a little bit about how they looked very strong there. In the end, Misfits just setting the series up and pushing us into game number 3. But at this point, Nomia, they just don't seem to find an angle. But now they have Void Prison again. And if you have watched the first game, then you will all remember how great Fat actually used Zeratul in the Void Prison setups to allow the team to go in. And it's so dangerous if Ragnaros is able to hit that perfect ult. So they really need that synergy again that they were able to showcase on particular the first map.
Indeed. We actually also, by the way, have, because I missed it earlier, we have Isolation by Dahaka. The Aegis is dropped very early, as was the Horrify to give John a chance to escape, which he does. Void Prism also dropped, but this is just a disengage by Nomia. 2 heroics dropped in exchange for 0 deaths. Not the worst.
Nomia has really excelled in the team fights, but so far they're not really willing to take them just yet. The early game is over. We have now both teams with heroic abilities. And I actually like that Misfits currently concentrating on the camps, going down to the bot lane here and trying to just like push that fort in with the help of the Night Camp.
Yep, and they're so far have been doing a good job putting pressure in this lane, like we said with the Zebo earlier. Now with this Bruiser camp, they're going to try and rush it in. The minion wave arriving just in time to at least hold back the back Knight in general, but they just push straight through that with the help of the Zebo.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie here. This is so far looks very good for... Oh, the Horrify not getting the isolation they wanted, or did it? Karasim can still jump out and does. Hazorps, as you said, helping out with the gas. Now we have Ragnaros with a trade. That's at 2 minutes that will be down, and they don't get any real value out of it. That is a pretty big problem right now for Nomia.
Yeah, they saved their fort, at least for now. There's Fire and Blumby there, who makes it nicely over the wall. But like I said, it was a quick reaction by Ragnaros, an even quicker reaction by Misfits, just like, okay, Rag, and just retreat all the way out. And they put themselves in a great position to take that fort at a later time. Both shrines, once again, in favor of Misfit as they're slowly creeping further ahead and still have a talent advantage.
Misfit, they found their rhythm. The late game is strong for them. You said that there's a lot of quest talents, of course, that Nomia can just use later on, which is definitely true. But we have also that Nazebo danger. Again, the isolation. Great fight. The globals here just playing such a huge role. A double kill for Misfits, going 6-0 against their opponent. Robert Doma also in trouble. There's Oriel with the Aegis, but it is another kill for Misfits. 7-0 in kills, and it is another Dragon Knight.
And they're going to be able to take this wherever they want with 3 heroes dead. One of them for another 15 seconds. They are in a great spot right here. We also, by the way, have Superstition on Nazebo. Such a good talent against these kind of burst ability power heroes.
And now it's a problem that Ragnaros already uses Molten Core. That's exactly the situation that we were alluding to a little bit earlier here when he was trying to take him at the bottom. That synergy that we are used to from Nomia now after the first 2 maps wasn't there. And a lot of the abilities that they need are now missing. Having no access to Molten Core as the Dragon Knight is pushing in is a problem. Usually, Ragnaros is one of the best heroes on this map just simply for his ability to negate Dragon Knights.
Yeah, we have 18 seconds left for that to come up, and that's too long. The Dragon Knight ends in 20, so even if it comes up, it's already used up. The Dragon Knight instead just dies due to health, and Misfits are going to pull out with Molten Core coming up in 3 seconds. Oh, they're going to turn it instead, try to kill Ragnaros. The Aegis is used, as is the Fear. They turn it onto Muradin, who is very zoned down. Nice cleansing touch by Karazim.
Zeratul once again too late, missing the Singularity Spike, jumping away here. It's a 3-level lead for Misfits with a level 16 talent, and that talent is such a massive power spike for especially Karazim. The cleansing touch, the triple cleanse that he has here, it is crazy strong, and this is the late game that Misfits were hoping for, and they reached it effortlessly.
Yeah, and we do have to remember that Cleansing Touch does put Karazim in the potential firing line, putting himself in a little bit of possible danger. But it's Splendor we're talking about here. We can trust him to make sure that he's not going to go in if he doesn't need to. Blumby stuns up Arcada there. Here comes the Molten Smash. It doesn't do anything. Arcada getting murdered, and he is killed off.
Nomia at this point really having trouble. Robotoma once again on his variant is about to fall. Fat is trying to somehow get a kill in, but it just doesn't happen, and now he himself has to retreat, is barely able to get out of there. But Nomia is taking fights they do not have to take. It's 16 versus 13 talents, and Misfits, they just take the advantage to drop their first keep of the game's 12 minutes in.
Yeah, but we have to remember that Nomia have come back from being a keep down, but at that point they were 1 level behind. Right now, Misfits with a 3-level lead, a 9-kill lead compared to the 0 of Nomia.
We have not a single kill, as you just pointed out, for Nomia, and that is just very symptomatic for what Misfits is currently going for here.
The jukes!
Fat able to get away, but he still dropped the Void Prison. It was great that he was able to move out there, but that's a big cooldown that he just used to get out. And the big problem is that Misfits, they found their rhythm. Our experts have been talking about game number 2, how they felt Nomia could or maybe even should have taken the map. But right now, Misfits, they are in the comfort zone. This is what really Nomia achieved in the first game. They shook Misfits to their core. But right now, Misfits, they are in the zone and they are showing it every step of the way.
We still have one of the most powerful combos in the game available for Nomia, the Warbringer charge into the Sulfura Smash. And we have yet to see it. Rack has used Sulfura Smash once that we have seen, and it completely whiffed, getting like barely a little bit of outside damage.
The big strength for Nomia throughout the series so far were the team fights, and they didn't show up for a really strong 5 versus 5 with good setups. They're desperately trying to get the level 16 talent. You can see Zeratul up at the top lane trying to gather experience so that he can move down and fight on even talents with Misfits. Hazops is getting bursted down, by the way, and now we have Ragnaros with a much better Molten Core. That keep is safe. That was well done here, forcing them back.
Yeah, now it is just Rack versus Gary, basically. Zeratul still in the top lane, just leaving it. Dragonite coming back in with the little duration it has. They backed up, let Rack cancel, and then move back in. Look at the position of Robodopa. That is either going to be a very good position or very bad. Instead, he just gets punted out. Fat coming in from behind. They have pinged him. They know he's there. The Aegis has been dropped. Silence on to cooldown, so there's no follow-up if Fat was to engage. John getting chased out, but Darkrock getting knocked back. Fat, though, is found and killed.
Zeratul down, and just now the Void Person is back. It was 1 second until the cooldown would have been there again, and now they're down a hero once more. They still cannot fight that team fight. And Misfits, they jump in, they want the kill. Rat throws out its ult, but it doesn't do enough. Vanilla goes down on the heal. 2 heroes dead, 3 alive, but that's going to change any second as the mighty gust of Hazard pushes them back into the battle.
John, the only person alive. He has no heroic. That is GG. And we will see Misfits take the series 2-1 in what I expected before the series to say is convincing fashion, but that last game was convincing fashion.
Misfits finding their rhythm on the last map, able to just never allow that team fight potential that we've seen from Nomia on map number 1 and map number 2. Great moves there by Misfits. That was definitely what we expected from them. But the big story here is still how strong the Australian teams presented themselves here in this series.
Yes, this was a Misfit-picked map. Both the previous series were Nomia-picked maps, and they looked pretty good. So the question is, how often are teams even going to allow them to play on the maps that they choose anymore? Everyone's just going to opt to take the map choice and just give them first pick.
It was an absolutely perfect start into the day, and I cannot wait to see what else we have this day. And also, I can't wait to see Nomia again. After the series that we just saw, I want to see the next match. It's going to be fantastic.
Yeah, I am super hyped. And let's be honest, Misfits, though, it took a while, but that's the kind of games we expected to see. This is the team that everyone was pegging to take the games, take the entire tournament before it ended, even started.
And one of the things that's also really important to note is, of course, that we are here at the Western Clash. This is where just regions, where metas, where completely different approaches to the games collide, and this is exactly what we want to see. And the last game gave us exactly that.
All right, so we are going to send you over to Redeye, who has an interview with the wonderful Misfits.
Yes, thank you very much. Firstly, congratulations on a very tough game. I watched you guys walk across the stage. You all looked a little bit relieved. How hard a game was that?
Yeah, for sure. We didn't expect Nomia to pose such a challenge, and once we won, we did feel a lot of relief.
Well, let's go back to the first game. What went wrong for you and what went right for them? Was it a case of give them what they want and see how good they are?
So going into the first game, our plan was to get the snowball rolling with Sylvanas, which we kind of did in the early game, but when we had some unnecessary deaths so they can catch up. And then we had a lot of even fights after that where they were getting really good VPs, like 3-man VP, and then they cast the rest and they kill someone off. And I think they played it really well after that, and they managed to win the game because of it.
Do you think you underestimated them a little bit in the first game?
Yeah, definitely. We didn't expect them to be so strong.
And then the second game had everyone backstage. Oh, what's going on here? Is this going to be 2-0? But were you worried at all in that game, or did it feel like you were more in control?
Yeah, to be honest, we did feel a bit worried. We were playing more defensively. We were trying to not take any risks. We were scared at certain points. And I wouldn't say we played at our best in the second game, but it worked.
And then the third game, quite straightforward. That was more like Misfits that we've seen in the regular season.
Yeah, in the third game we were relaxed.
So why the difference? What is it? Is it the stage? Is it crowd? Why is it such a change up here? Or is it just playing someone different from a different region?
It's all of them actually, and even playing on the stage, we haven't done it for a while now. Our last LAN event was Gamescom last year.
Yeah, it's been a while, and great to see you win the first game. And being the favourite, has that added a bit more pressure for you guys?
Maybe a bit, but not too much.
All right, well done, congratulations. Misfits coming through a very tight first game. Let's find out what our analysts made of it in the first matchup in the quarterfinal of the upper bracket.
Well, only one match in. It feels like Misfits, they even said it there, they're a little shaken. They were a bit worried in that series. Does this change your outlook and dynamic of every other team in this competition?
Slightly. I think if you look at the first two games, you can be like, all right, is Misfits kind of on point? But when we came into game number 3, they seemed to get a little bit more angry and kind of really showed up, especially with the composition that we were kind of doubting a little bit for them to even get to the late game. They won that game before they even hit level 20. That's how unshaken they are now. So as long as they continue to keep the momentum that they just earned, good for them. But Nomia, you guys got to be impressed.
No, I completely agree. Nomia is absolutely amazing, their performance here so far. They have beaten everybody's expectations, just even being able to take a game, let alone them all being that close. Granted, the last one obviously a little bit more convincing on the side of Misfits, but I'm very excited now knowing, seeing that series for Nomia and watching them the rest of this tournament.
Grubby, if you had to pick an MVP for that series, who would it be?
I think Fat94, in the way that he dictated Misfits' draft, by having them remove Zeratul in the second game, I think it was a really big deal. He won that first game, I feel like, for Nomia. Great Zeratul play. And I think the part that was most impressive is about all the things that he didn't do, the mistakes that he did not make. He wasn't one of those nervous, oh, it's my first time playing Zeratul against such a good team. I'm going to try and get all these kills that work on the ladder, but they don't work here. So that part, for me, was very impressive.
Yeah, I think I agree with that a little bit. Also, the sanctifications that he stopped with the Void Prison in game number 1. Fat94 was definitely the guy that stood out for me overall in this matchup. And of course, Misfits just came together and played well. No one really stood out in particular for me, but that's why they're so good. They're great at team fights, not having standout spotlight players.
Dread, how about you?
Either that or Robodoba. He had a couple of moments that I think were, really able to change the pace for his team in the game. And I agree a lot like what we saw with Trick. It felt like, yes, Misfits was playing. They don't have necessarily that outstanding. Sometimes they'll have those performances, but they just felt like they're playing the game. And meanwhile, there were a couple playmakers on the opposite side. So it's either Fat 98 or 94, or Robodoba.
Well, one series down. Let's take a look at the bracket to see where that puts us here for this competition at the HGC Western Clash. That puts Misfits into the second round over Nomia. And up next, we have Team Dignitas versus Team 8.
I mean, Team Dignitas, they used to be the reigning leader here in Europe. They were dominant. They won almost every tournament that they attended within Europe, save for 1 or 2. But it hasn't really been that way. And the other teams have felt that. They have felt the waning strength of Dignitas a bit. They are right now maybe the third best team in Europe. They finished third in the online portion. So if there was a team that could potentially struggle against the North American team, I would say maybe it's Dignitas.
Yeah, I think this is a chance for Dignitas to eliminate any doubt, as he was alluding to, because right now everyone's like, all right, Misfits, Fnatic, and Dig, even though they're one of the top 3s. Dignitas, obviously a great team. They've been working on their cohesion, getting better at draft and such. And Team 8 is a team that can be surprising. I would probably argue they probably have the limited hero pool compared to every other team here in the Western Clash. But still, Team 8 is a team when they show up and their shot calling is on point, and Glarong in particular is here to win, they can do well. So it's going to be a good matchup.
And I think on the same idea of, the hope really for North America and Europe, now that we're finally going to be able to see the first clash between them. And we talked about Dig may be the only team that would struggle to a North American team. Team 8, in my opinion, would be the one who would struggle the most to a European. So if Team 8, again, the predictability into the draft and things and such would be what sets them behind. So if Team 8 puts up a very good series or even wins it, suddenly the trash talk between North America and EU, I think, might be turned the other way around.
Get spicy.
Yeah.
We'll find out very soon. Will Lucio be played finally? Who knows? Stay tuned for the next match of the day, Dignitas versus Team 8.
on to hope. It will not abandon you. The eternal conflict continues between the forces of good and evil. Evil will triumph over those who give in to despair. But despair cannot defeat the power of hope. Hope is the voice that will never be silent. Hope is the stream that fills the wells of courage. Hope is the light in the darkness. And in the darkness, I will be that light.
Terra Marines are the toughest frag magnets in the galaxy. But when they're in trouble, guess who they call? Medic! Winning a battle is more than just shooting enemy soldiers. It's about saving your own. I protect every member of my squad with my life. Sometimes I think I'm the only thing holding them together. Who am I? I'm Lieutenant Morales. I'm your medic. I'm gonna need a lot of bandages.